In the middle of the night, Stevie wakes up after a terrible nightmare in which she remembered the times when her parents stopped paying attention to her to take care of her younger brother. During these nightmares, the young woman always sees various sinister things around her and wonders if this could be some kind of warning that something very bad is approaching. Despite these fears, Stevie pulls herself together, and after checking that her younger brother Elliot is okay, she goes to listen to her parents' conversation. Downstairs, the couple discusses the financial problems they are facing, and the man claims that if his wife had not quit being his vocalist during the recording of their next album, they would not be in that situation. Upset, the woman replies that there was no other option as the debts are getting bigger and bigger and things are no longer as they used to be. Saddened by what she hears, Stevie returns to her room where she steps on a rotten ham that her younger brother left on the floor. Outraged, the girl yells at Elliot to stop leaving rotten food scattered around the room, and the boy replies that he is using it to get the attention of his favorite toy called Bologna Tony because he has lost sight of it. Minutes later, Stevie tries to make breakfast, but is interrupted by her brother. So, she decides to lock him in the living room to finish preparing the meal. With everything ready, the girl goes to her father and decides to lie, saying that her mother has prepared a great breakfast for the family. Soon after, Stevie does the same with her mother, and the couple is happy to be eating something so tasty and well prepared, taking advantage of the fact that everyone is together. The woman reveals that she will have a job interview at a university located in Duthie, so she will be away for a few days. Noticing that Stevie is worried about her mother's absence, her father tells her that he has a great discount at one of the local pizzeras so they can eat out while they wait for her mother to return. The man then leaves the table with his youngest child, and the woman says that her daughter will be in charge while she is away. In addition, the girl's mother asks her to help her brother choose a book for his schoolwork. And without wasting any time, the children head to the library. Realizing that Elliot will take a while to choose something, Stevie decides to walk around the aisles while she waits. But when left alone, the boy comes across a staircase that leads down to the basement. At the same time, the young girl looks at the music records in stock and is excited to see that her parents' album is already on sale in the city. At that moment, June B., one of the employees, approaches the girl and asks if he can help her with anything. In a few seconds, Stevie is completely taken aback by the boy's beauty and decides to change the subject so she can walk away. But before she can do so, she ends up taking a nasty fall. Meanwhile, Elliot explores the basement of the library and ends up finding a huge chest containing a kind of old book that tells the story of a man named Sandman. Curious, the boy decides to take the book and is surprised by his sister, who says that it cannot be the book for his summary since there is nothing but images. Suddenly, the library's power is cut off, and the young people are faced with the music box playing by itself. Soon after, Junbai appears in the basement, and after turning the lights back on with the circuit breakers, he asks why the siblings are there. Desperate, the young people run away, and since he doesn't care that much about his job, the attendant decides to let them escape. At home, Stevie asks which book her brother has decided to use for his schoolwork, and Elliot insists on using Sandman's short story. Realizing that her younger brother stole the book from the library, the young woman panics, but the boy calms her down, saying that the product didn't even have a price tag. After that, the siblings read Sandman's story and discover that the man is a magical being who grants the wishes of those who call for his help. Noticing that her brother is believing everything they are reading, Stevie teases him, but Elliot remains firm in his beliefs and says that if his dreams were to come true, he would like to have a jetpack and dynamite fists. At dusk, Stevie wakes up to a strange noise. And when she checks what is happening, she finds her brother's bed moving on its own, as if under the effect of some spell. Before he can react, Elliot is carried away by the mysterious magic, which destroys one of the walls of the room and tries to escape. Quickly, Stevie grabs hold of the edge of the blanket, causing both siblings to be carried away by the neighborhood, where furniture jumps between rooftops at high speed. Soon after, the pair take off hundreds of meters into the sky. And in a panic, the girl orders Elliot to get off the bed immediately. Excited by what is happening, the boy accepts the idea and pilots the furniture through the city streets, leaving his older sister increasingly frightened. At that moment, Elliot finds a button next to him and decides to press it, causing the bed to enter jet mode, accelerating even more. Thanks to this, the pair reach an altitude above the clouds where they encounter hundreds of bright stars around them. Amazed, Stevie touches one of them, causing all the shiny objects to come together to create a kind of illusion where Sandman appears, asking the young people to come and find him if they want to make their wishes come true. After that, a huge storm surrounds the pair who begin to fall toward the ground. But at that moment, they wake up in their room and realize that they have just had exactly the same dream. However, Stevie refuses to believe any of it and orders her brother to go back to sleep. Minutes later, the young woman sees her father talking to her mother outside. And the woman reveals that her new job will pay very well, so they should move to try to start a new life in a new city. Upon hearing this, the man is reluctant and admits that he is not sure if he would be able to do such a thing. Not knowing what to say after hearing that response, the woman decides to go to the interview. And realizing that her family may be about to break up, Stevie asks Sandman for help. Thanks to this, as soon as she lies down to sleep, the young woman is taken to an alternate world, where she wakes up in the middle of a village whose inhabitants are various types of food. While walking through the region, Stevie is surprised by her brother, who explains that he also ended up there after falling asleep and even managed to train his magic bed. Now that they are together, the young people set out in search of Sandman. And during their exploration, Elliot comes across Balagany Tony, who is excited to finally see his owner again. Upon hearing about the duo's goals, the stuffed animal decides to help them and takes them to the village gate, saying that in order to find Sandman, they must approach the large golden star above them. Finding it all very easy, Stevie gets excited, but Bologna explains that this may be a bad idea since everyone who meets Sandman is usually tormented by various nightmares. Frightened, Elliot says he doesn't want to go through that, but the girl is not intimidated and teases her brother. At that moment, a huge dark cloud begins to cover the region, and Stevie is shocked to notice that her teeth are all falling out of her mouth. In a panic, Bologna explains that this is Nightmare, the owner of nightmares, a kind of guardian who must be confronted before a traveler can reach Sandman. Thanks to the storm, all the inhabitants try to flee in terror, but without success and end up being quickly infected by the creature's shadows, causing them to be transformed into zombies. Desperate, Stevie and Elliot try to escape, but are easily surrounded by the monsters who prepare to eliminate them. However, before they are attacked, the young people wake up in their rooms. And while the girl calms down, the boy runs to rescue his stuffed animal because now he knows where it ended up. Soon after, Stevie reads Sandman's book again and discovers that since they entered the realm together for the first time, the siblings are psychically connected, so they can only find Sandman if they dream together. The problem is that Elliot was extremely frightened by Nightmare Land and says he does not want to return to that place, trying to prevent her brother from giving up and ruining her plan to bring happiness back to her family. Stevie tries to force him to sleep using the turtle that plays lullabies. In a panic, the boy fights his sister to stay awake, and suddenly the children's father appears in the room. Seizing his chance, Elliot runs away and later the trio goes to the town pizzeria. While Elliot plays on the machines, Stevie asks her father about the situation with her mother, and the man replies that despite the difficulties they are facing, he doesn't want the girl to be so worried. Later, Stevie receives the news that her mother has been hired as a university professor and decides to break the news to her brother, who is devastated to realize that the family may be about to break up. However, the girl says they can avoid all that if they find Sandman. And despite being afraid, Elliot offers to help her. So, the pair fall asleep repeatedly and face dozens of different challenges to try to achieve their goal, but without success and end up being eliminated during all their attempts. After so many failures and tragic ends during their nightmares, the siblings finally discover a way to face the threats where they must join hands and think the same thing, allowing their ideas to become reality. Thanks to this, while being attacked by a giant bear, Elliot manages to gain super strength to prevent them from being crushed. And soon after, the duo conjures the boy's magic bed to rescue them from there. Now that they have complete control of their abilities, Stevie jumps off the furniture to perform a super attack, delivering an explosive punch to the monster's nose, which is eliminated in a huge explosion. As they celebrate their victory, the young people fly towards Sandman's star. But at that moment, the dark storm reappears, conjuring up a huge tornado. This causes Bologna to be thrown away. And before they could help him, the pair ends up being pulled into the center of the storm. Trying to prevent Nightmare from waking them up again, Stevie hugs Elliot, and together the young people manage to resist the panic caused by the Guardian. Minutes later, the pair regains consciousness on a deserted beach. And at that moment, hundreds of bright birds appear in the sky, conjuring up a giant magical floating sand castle. Excited, the young people join hands to fly toward the castle. And upon entering, they encounter thousands of golden creatures who guide them to the main staircase. Soon after, Sandman finally appears. And after showing his home to the visitors, he asks them what they need. Stevie then tells him about her family's current situation. And without wasting any time, the entity takes the pair to a huge hourglass, saying that all they need to do is turn the object. In addition, Sandman says that as soon as the sand at the top of the container empties, their dreams will come true. And an excited Stevie thanks him for his help. After that, The young people are awakened by the castle's chief, and they rush to listen to their parents' conversation, who seem to be rekindling their relationship. Excited, they get together for breakfast. And as a family, they have an extremely fun and memorable day where they go for walks and have fun together. However, as soon as they lie down to sleep, Stevie looks at her family portrait and remembers that the glass was broken the last time she saw it. At the same time, Elliot notices that his toys are more organized than usual. And realizing that his sister is also concerned, he starts screaming, saying that they are still in a dream. Trying to silence him, Stevie holds her brother and says he is just delirious. But during the confrontation, the boy decides to throw the portrait at the wall. As a result, the room is destroyed and all the walls dissolve into sand. Soon after, Sandman appears, and realizing that the young people are confused, he explains that they should have remained in their dream until the sand in the hourglass ran out. Stevie then asks if this will make the dream come true, and the magical entity reveals that in fact, they will come to believe that this is their new reality, realizing that Sandman is nothing more than a madman. Elliot tries to pull his sister away, but the man explains that the young people's parents no longer want to be together, so they should stay there so they can live the reality they wanted so much. These words end up convincing Stevie, who says that this is the only way they can stay together, as she does not want to see her family torn apart when they wake up. So the girl walks toward the illusion, and Elliot desperately tries to stop her. Furious, Stevie says that her brother is ruining everything as usual and screams that she wants to be alone. Thanks to this, the contact between the young people's hands makes the girl's wish come true, and the boy ends up being thrown away, deleted by the castle's central hologram. To comfort the girl, Sandman assures her that Elliot will be fine and takes her back to her parents, who welcome her excitedly. As soon as he wakes up, the boy tries to wake his sister, and in desperation, he screams for his parents, who take her to the emergency room. After a while, his mother brings news from the doctor, who said that all Stevie needs to do is wake up, as she is completely healthy. Meanwhile, the young girl enjoys herself in the illusion of Sandman's world. And when she enters her room and notices that there is only one bed in the room, she becomes confused. During her investigation, Stevie comes across the stuffed baloney Tony that had been put away and remembers that in her childhood, Elliot decided to give the toy to his sister so that he could comfort her after she failed to win anything from the toy machine. Realizing she has made a mistake, the girl decides to leave and throws the family portrait at the wall. However, the cracks are quickly repaired, and in desperation, the young woman begins to scream for help, saying she doesn't want it anymore. At that moment, Elliot hears his sister whispering his name. And realizing that Stevia is in danger, he decides to help her. Before going to bed, the young man asks his parents to help him save the girl. And realizing that her son seems to be serious, the woman believes him. Elliot then appears in his bed next to Bologna, who decides to run away, leaving the young man alone to confront Nightmare. Meanwhile, Stevie tries to free herself from the illusion when she comes across her brother opening the door. Relieved, the girl runs to hug her brother, and after apologizing for everything she said, she asks how he managed to get through Nightmare's storm. The boy then tells her that the Guardian is actually a kind person who was trying to protect the magical creatures of the dream realm from being affected by Sandman's powers. The woman reveals that she and Sandman were co-workers. But one day, the man decided that dreamers no longer needed to experience nightmares as they were unnecessary. However, Nightmare explains that these experiences strengthen people's minds, as this is how humans learn to face the unknown from childhood. In addition, the woman says that there is a surefire way to defeat one's own fears and nightmares, as long as the dreamer can find something or someone who has always been by their side, even with so much chaos in their life. Upon hearing this story, Stevie hugs her brother. And at that moment, Sandman dispels the illusion, scolding the girl for giving up on her new life. Despite this, the young woman is not intimidated, and the pair join hands to leave. Quickly, Sandman opens the ground to separate the young people. And without wasting any time, Stevie jumps to save her brother. Desperate because of the height, Elliot is unable to think straight. And because of this, the pair ends up unable to activate their flying powers. However, before they hit the ground, the young people are rescued by Bologna, who appears on the magic bed to help his friends. Excited that they haven't been abandoned by the stuffed animal, the siblings shout for him to take them to the hourglass, and furious, Sandman begins to control the castle to attack them. Soon after, the group ends up entering one of the magical portals in the walls, trapping them in an endless cycle of portals. Thanks to the extremely high speed at which they are flying, the young people begin to lose their strength. And realizing that Bologna is too distracted to help them, Stevie looks for a way to gain control of the bed. The young woman then risks letting go and manages to land on top of the furniture with the help of one of the portals. Now that she is back in control of the flying bed, the girl tries to reach the exit and Sandman, furious, orders his subordinates to prevent her escape. As a result, the group is attacked by hundreds of creatures and the weight causes the bed to fall toward the floor. At that moment, Sandman notices that the sand in the hourglass is about to run out. And believing he has already won, he says goodbye to the siblings. However, at the last second before the door closes, the young people's father appears wearing a jetpack and lifts the passageway with his brute strength. Trying to stop him, Sandman forces the door against the floor. And quickly, the mother lunges at the villain, who is hit by a powerful blow. After knocking Sandman out, the woman shouts to encourage her children. And soon after, she runs to help her husband hold the passageway. Trying to find a way out of that situation, Stevie spots the bed's propulsion button and without wasting any time decides to press it. Thanks to this, the magic bed takes off with its thrusters, causing all the creatures to be thrown away. Realizing they have only a few seconds to escape, Stevie accelerates at full speed toward the door. And after passing through Sandman's body, they reach the other side. However, as soon as they look at the hourglass, the siblings notice that their time is about to run out, and they jump to hold hands. At the last second, the pair finally manages to stop the countdown, which had only one grain of sand left before it ended. Relieved, the family hugs each other, and the woman says that no matter what happens, they will always love their children more than anything else in the world. Finally, the pair thank Bologna for his help. And after joining hands, they deliver a powerful explosive punch to the hourglass, which is completely destroyed by the impact. Days later, the family finishes carrying the boxes to the vehicle so they can continue their move to Duthie, where the woman decided to accept her job offer while the man decided to start a new band. Before leaving, the couple looks at their house one last time and concludes that despite their fear of change, it will all be worth it. As they gather to leave for their new life, Stevie reflects that life may not be perfect, but no matter how much things may change from one moment to the next, she will always have her family by her side, and that will give her the strength to face any and all problems. So, what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.